So, story time. I got fired today. This is new territory for me because I've never been fired from a job ever. But yeah, I got fired today. I was working at a salon in New York. Our first client of the fucking day comes in and everything was peachy. Everything was great. None of us caught traffic on the way in. It was fantastic. Everything's great. They were talking about the Knicks. Cool. Go Knicks. We up. Champs is here. Cool. Everything's fine. Somehow, somewhere, some way, the conversation takes the hardest left I've ever seen. Okay? Takes a fucking left, and now we're talking shit about immigrants. We're talking shit about Palestinians. The word disgusting is being thrown around. Like, hard ass left. Okay? I wait a minute to see if the conversation is maybe going to take a turn because to something more positive. Because keep in mind, the person that is doing her hair, not from this country. The people that own the fucking salon that she's talking cash shit in, also not from this country. So, the conversation just keeps getting fucking worse. And me being me, you're never going to get me to shut the fuck up. You're never going to get me to shut the fuck up. And if there's a bully in the vicinity, they have to deal with me. And I don't want to fucking hear this shit no more. So I walk over and I'm like, hey, could we maybe change the subject? Like, just maybe talk about something else. What? I said, could we maybe change the subject? Like, I find your conversation offensive. Could we maybe just change the subject? I don't care. I can talk to my stylist about whatever I want. You're all the way over there. I don't care. I said, well, then you're disgusting because you should care about how your words affect other people. And I walked the fuck away. Now, she's still talking cash shit. I don't know what about me made her think that I gave a fuck, but I don't. However, the conversation was changed because now she's talking shit about me, which I don't give a fuck. But now the person that's doing her hair can just listen to that instead of her listening to her talk shit about her and possibly her family and anybody that she fucking cares about. So cool. I ended up having to walk past them again. And she's like, there's a lot of people that feel like me. And they come here. So you better watch your back. Watch my back for what, ho? You and your friends can get fucking dragged. Reel it in. I'm not upset. So I continue to let her talk shit. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like I said what the fuck I said. You're disgusting. So whatever you have to say means nothing to me. She comes to check out. I'm going to be having a very private conversation with the owners. And I don't care. Why? Because I do it again, and I do it again, ho. The fuck? Again, I don't know what about me made you think that I gave a fuck, but I don't. You're disgusting. So she's like, you're a dum-dum. I'm the dum-dum, and you clearly have not made it past 5th grade. Because that's all that you could come up with was dum-dum. Anyway, so she finally is done doing her best Karen that I've seen in a long ass time. And I go to the back, I check on the stylist. I'm like, hey, you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. I appreciate you, sticking up for me. I don't know what to say in those situations. English is not her first language. And she's also very timid. And that's no offense to her. It's just not who she is to stick up for herself. Me, however, I'm going to stand 10 toes. If there's a bully in the vicinity, they have to deal with me. She's like, thank you for sticking up for me, blah, 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 blah. I get a phone call at the end of the day, about 5 minutes before it's time for me to clock out. And it's, hey, I'm so sorry to do this, but I can't have this in my salon. You can't have what in your salon, Buki? Somebody that's willing to stick up for not only you, but for the people that work for you, the people that visit your establishment, and making sure that inappropriate conversations are not being had in your salon? You can't have that in your salon? Yeah, you're probably right. This is not the place for me. Because if put in that situation again, I'd do it again. Because I don't give a fuck what racial group she was talking about, what religious group she was talking about. Change the fucking subject. Like, it's disgusting. It should not be happening in a salon. Period. So I do it again, and I maybe drag the next bitch. So, yeah. That happened. That was my Monday. How was yours?
So a couple tried to film me for slave content at work, and I thought, let me just get on here and tell you about it. Let me set the scene right. At my job, we serve beverages. Mind you, I do not work in a restaurant. I do not work in a coffee shop. I work in an industry that elevates the service by offering beverages to their clients, right? So, I open the door for this couple from Saudi Arabia, and instantly vibes off. I'm talking to the woman. She's ignoring me. Sure, fine. 2 minutes after ignoring me, she looks up, looks at me, and she's like, do you work here? Bitch, do you think I'm just talking to you because I like talking to strangers on the street? Like, no. So I had to kind of be like, I do work here. Kind of just let her know you're being a bit of a bitch right now. So I'm going to be extra nice and polite and emphasize all of my great British words to let you know, stop fucking with me, right? So after she asks me for her request or whatever the case may be, as I'm moving around trying to sort her out, she turns to me as I'm in the lift before the door closes. She says, get me water. Now, let me give some grace and give some leniency here. I know culturally in the Middle East, manners aren't really the strong point in English, mind you. I don't know anything about Arabic, but in English, I've noticed a lot of clients that I would have. Some of them can be very sweet, but they can be very direct. Like, they'll be like, give me this. I want this. No, there's no can you, do you, may you. Like, it's very much like, let's get to the point. But because the interaction with this woman started off very sour, her just saying, give me water and flicking her finger, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm being tested right now. So I didn't even say, yeah, of course, what do you want? Still a spark? I was just like, give me a minute, because you've already irritated me. So as I'm making my way back to the couple, I asked my colleague, who just so happens to be black presenting. He's mixed race, but he's black presenting, and he's probably watching me right now. I asked him to get me the waters for the client. It's very important that you remember that he is black, biracial, black presenting, because it's indicative to this story. So he goes and gets the water. As I'm finalizing with the client, they have, again, done things that I'm not so comfortable with. One being, they have now started to take pictures with me in frame. He's taking photos as I'm showcasing what they have requested. I place the item down and I walk away, right? And I can see that this kind of throws him off, because he's only taking pictures as I am showcasing what he has requested. And obviously, I don't want that. I don't want to be in the photo with, just everything in the background. So I literally place the item. This gets on the wife's nerves, because then she's just like, he's not taking a photo of you. And I'm just like, yeah, well, because your husband is doing helicopter frame like this, and you're telling me he's not taking a photo with me in it. Like, let's actually get it together. So I ignore that. Fine. Now, as I am finalizing with them, my colleague comes with their drinks, their waters. And I see that the wife is recording my colleague as he is approaching with the tray of drinks and sets it beside her on the sofa. So that's all done and dusted. But as I am trying to, get payment and just get out, because I don't really want to talk to them anymore, the husband then says, can you move my tray? And I was like, huh? And then he's like, move my tray and bring it to me. Bear in mind, they are sitting on the sofa. The tray is right beside them. So I'm trying to process what he's just requested me to do, because I'm thinking, I understand there's someone sitting like adjacent to you, but there's nothing stopping you from reaching your beverage. So what do you mean you want me to move the tray to you? It's as close as possible as it can get to you. And I was just like, what do you want me to do with the tray? And he said, and he was like, pick up the tray and bring it to me. And he has his phone ready on camera. And that's when it clicks to me. This man wants to record me serving him, because he's done it already when I was showcasing his item, and now he wants to showcase me serving him a beverage, not only the product that he requested. And that's when I drew the fucking line. And I said, absolutely not. And he's like, what? And I said, no. And he's like, why? And his wife is saying he wants you to give him his drink. And I said, but the drink is right there. What am I giving to him? So at this point, I'm pissed because their card didn't even work on what I initially needed them to pay for. So I go to the back to get a new card reader. And I tell my manager, who is white passing, she's Spanish, but she's white passing. And I tell her what's going on. And she's like, these are some weirdos. So then I go back to try and take payment again. And then the husband said, you're really not going to give me my drink? The pure audacity, because how dare you? Like, you're trying to, this is humiliation ritual 101. I'm not going to be filmed serving you because you like the idea of me waiting on you hand and foot, especially because of what I look like, right? So now you're connecting the dots. They recorded my black colleague serving the drinks, a man, and now they wanted to record the black girl serving them their drinks as well, as if we're two peas in a pod. You feel what I'm trying to say? So then as they make the payment, now I'm just like, I'm gonna leave, right? But I don't announce that to them. So at this point, they're sitting down watching me like, what the fuck is her problem? Because then they kiss their teeth when I refuse to be in their video. So I go back to my manager and I tell her, yo, these people want to record me and I'm refusing. And now they're kind of getting an attitude about it. So she's like, do you want me to come outside? I was like, yes, please. So I even was proactive in getting the manager because I already knew they're about to kick up a fuss. So my manager walks over and she's like, hi, I heard that there's a problem with the tray. And instantly they say, we need to speak to a manager. Do you see how nutcases work? And she's like, I am the manager. That's why she sent me over, because she said you had a problem with your tray and I'm here to solve that problem. Then all of a sudden they said, why doesn't she smile at us? And what's the problem with her moving the tray? I beg your kindness pardon? My manager said, I think she's not smiling because she's already said she's uncomfortable being filmed. But if you want me to move the tray for you, I can move the tray for you. So where would you like me to move the tray to? All of a sudden, no, it's not an issue with the tray. They're like, no, she's not being kind. What's the issue with the tray? And then, like you're speaking to a 3-year-old, my manager had to break it down. She said, I think it's a mutual respect thing, right? Because if you don't film me and I don't film you, we're both comfortable, right? And she says she doesn't feel comfortable being filmed. So it's basic respect. But if you want me to move the tray and if it's an issue, I can move the tray for you. All of a sudden, crickets. They're like, no, you don't need to move the tray. And she said, so it's okay if the tray's here and you can drink it from here? They're like, yeah, it's fine. Funny how that works. Funny how the tone changes. Because all of a sudden, I'm unkind for not waiting on you hand and foot and kneeling with a tray of beverages for you to sip on. But all of a sudden, the white lady comes and now you can't stand to see her serve you. I was just like, yeah, okay. Get out.
I just posted a story time about all the jobs that I've worked, and one of them was Victoria's Secret, and I said that I worked there for 2 weeks and it felt like 3 years because it was horrible. I said that it needed its own story time, so here it is, and I've been holding on to this one for a while. So basically, this was supposed to be my summer job for last summer, and I was so excited because I was out of food and beverage, like I'd worked as a barista forever, and I was so excited to get into like a different retail space. Let's just lay it all out, okay? The first like 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 shifts, whatever, I was just on the iPad, like doing the iPad training, whatever. I was used to that because I had done it before, and it was chill. I met the manager, I met some of the other coworkers, everyone was super nice. I was like, oh my gosh, the manager was a little bit older, so I was like, oh, she's so nice, whatever. I was wrong. So after the shifts with the iPad training, I had literally 2 shifts of like actual on the floor with somebody else personal training, okay? So I think like one half of one shift was the register, which I feel like I picked up pretty easily. Common sense, like that was fine. Then it came to all the bras. Tried on all the bras and like I got fitted and I was like, ooh, I love this. Like it was fun. And then I was like, wait, I don't know where anything is still. Like by the time I was done training, I didn't know where anything was. Like this store was a Victoria's Secret and a Pink combined, and I didn't know what was going on. Eventually, like, I kind of started to get used to it because they had me, like, do a bunch of go backs, so I was putting a bunch of bras back, whatever, and I was like, okay, I can do this. So I'm trying to have an open mind, even though it's definitely a lot, and the manager is kind of already being mean to me. She's kind of just, like, always on my butt, always telling me everything I'm doing wrong, and, like, I can't do anything right. It's, like, it's already happening, but I'm like, you know what, it's fine. Like, I'll just get the hang of it. I'm sure it'll, like, click eventually. It's, like, she'll flip a switch, and she'll, like, really like me, and then once I do something wrong, it's, like, I cannot do anything right. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. For example, there was one shift where they just threw me in the first room. There's like 3 separate rooms, and they just threw me in the first one. And she was like, okay, just like welcome people in, like whatever. If they ask any questions, just like show them a bra. Okay. So it was me, my manager, and another girl. That's all it was because it was an opening shift. And the one girl was on register. I was in the front room and my manager was somewhere in the back. So a girl comes in, I'm like, oh, hi, welcome, like, can I help you find anything, whatever, because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, okay? She's, like, talking about this bra, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know where that is, that's in the back room, like, the 3rd room, okay? So I bring her to go get the bra, and it's, like, fine, I show her the bra, everything's all in well, and then I go back to the first room, and my manager's standing there waiting for me, and she just gets so mad at me, and she's like, why are you ignoring me on the headset, like, you can't leave your room, like, if somebody needs to find something in the back room, you have to tell somebody else. There's 3 of us in the store. And I had no idea that I couldn't leave the freaking front room. So she gets mad at me for that. And I'm like, I did not hear you on the headset at all. I had no idea that I wasn't supposed to leave. I didn't hear you on the headset. The headset was broken. This isn't important. Remember how this headset was broken? Because the headsets apparently are all horrible. Just keep that in mind. So I'm in trouble, okay, for that. That was a very bad... I'm literally, like, the worst person on earth for that. Like, I'm so stupid. It just keeps going on. I keep messing everything up, and I'm, like, overthinking everything. I'm, like, constantly in my head, like, oh my god, she's gonna get mad at me, and she did, constantly. I actually cannot express how dumb she made me feel between my first shift and my last shift. Like, I felt like such an idiot, and I'm, like, not that sensitive when it comes to jobs. I'm, like, not that emotional. I'm kind of just, like, it's, like, a learn as you go process. So stuff like that kind of just keeps happening. I keep getting told what to do without, like, zero instruction on how to do it. I'm kind of just guessing, and then when my guess is wrong, they get mad at me, basically. So then there was another shift. I was on front room again. I know that to stay freaking planted this time. I know that. And this was an opening shift. At the beginning of my shift, I was on register. So I was on register for like 15-20 minutes. They moved me to the front room once it started getting a little bit busier, I guess. And I was in the front room, and a bunch of my coworkers start coming in. The store's pretty packed now. I'm just pacing around the store. My managers are walking around. They're talking to me. One manager is still getting mad at me for everything. And this was like seriously when I started questioning, like, do you have something against me? Like, did I do something to you? I don't. And by the way, the managers tell you when to go on your breaks, because we don't have our phones. We're not allowed to have our phones. That's another thing I got yelled, which I didn't know. One time I was on my phone in the break room and they got mad at me for that. So I've just been walking around the front room aimlessly, and I'm like, it's kind of been a minute. Like, it feels like it's been a long time. And like, my coworkers are getting sent on their breaks. Like, coworkers that have been there, that got their way after me. I haven't been on a break. Then one of my coworker is leaving the store, and I'm like, hey, what time is it? And she's like, oh, it's 5:30. If I'm right, I'm pretty sure I got off at 2 or 2:30. And I hadn't had a single break. And my managers have been, they know I'm there. They know don't have a phone, don't have a clock, don't have a watch. So I go up to my manager, and I'm like, hey, I haven't been on a single break. It's 5:30. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to leave at 2. And you know what she says to me? You should have said something. Why didn't you say anything? What would I know? I've been in the same spot my entire shift. You've walked around. You're sending other people on your breaks. I can hear you on the headset. Sending people on their breaks. Not me, though. It's your job, not mine. So, yeah. And then my shift right after that, I get there and they put me on the pink side and then on the register. So I'm doing that the whole time. If they need help on the register, I'm there. If there's people in the pink room, I'm over there. So there was a really long line. So I get into the register and I'm helping people through the line. And keep in mind, it's the beginning of summer. This is when I get my allergies, when they're really about halfway through this line, snot starts running down my face. And I'm like, oh my god, checking people out, like, I'm gonna get snot on these people's panties. So finally we get through the line and I'm like, oh my god, I need to get to the bathroom, like, there's snot dripping down my nose. And I try telling my manager over the headset that I'm gonna go to the bathroom for 20 seconds to blow my nose. The headset doesn't work. The headset's broken. No, I didn't get to tell my manager that I was going to the bathroom, but I literally was in there for probably 10 seconds before she starts yelling at me over the headset, which all my coworkers can hear, yelling at me over the headset. Where are you? Why aren't you on register? You're not supposed to leave the floor. What are you doing? I come out to explain myself that I needed to blow my nose for 10 seconds in the bathroom because I'm a freaking human. She starts yelling at me for something else. I couldn't even get a word in. She starts yelling at me because I didn't take a sensor off a perfume bottle. I didn't know there were sensors on the perfume bottle. She doesn't even know that I had blown my nose because she didn't care enough for me to give an explanation. She thinks I'm just the worst freaking worker. She literally thinks I'm an idiot. After she's done yelling at me, she flips a switch because she can see that I'm on the verge of freaking tears. And she's like, you know what? You look like you could use a break. Do I? So I go take my break and cry in the bathroom, which I'm not emotional at jobs. Like, I'm not, like I said, like, I'm not that sensitive. Like, I can handle, because I'm not an idiot. At this point, I knew that I was literally never going to come work here again. I start brainstorming in my head, like, where I can apply. Like, so after my break, I go out. They tell me to start doing something with underwear. I'm just doing whatever I want because I do not care at this point. Like, I know I'm never coming back. After that shift, I drove to my old Starbucks, and they hired me literally immediately because guess who's a good worker? Me! So I ghosted them. I think I, like, kind of tried to text my manager, but I really didn't care. I got, like, a call from her and then a text from another manager, and I was like, yeah, I'm never coming again. So that's it.
Okay, so get this. So there's this girl at work who's about to get fired. As the IT manager, I always know about any onboards or offboards before they happen because they want to make sure that I revoke access to their emails, and they want me to make sure that they're locked out of certain things so that nobody who's getting fired can go back and like shoot a company-wide email or anything like that. So I'm one of the first people to know when somebody's going to be onboarded or offboarded so that I can prepare their computer and their access and so on and so forth. So my boss, who is a super bitch, and the HR lady have been telling me we have an offboard coming up and this is super confidential. Nobody can know about this. And they keep saying that it's confidential, And I found out that the girl that they're firing, she's a really sweet girl. Like, she just got a raise, she just got promoted, like, she does a great job at work, and she's always super sweet whenever you talk to her. So I'm like, okay, something strange is going on here. Now, normally when it comes to affairs of onboards and offboards, I don't get involved. I just tell them what to do. I don't talk to the employee that is getting offboarded or whatever, just because that's not my place, that's not my job. But this particular employee that they're about to fire, she's such a sweet girl, and I've had many interactions with her where she's just been very positive and upbeat. I know that she recently got married and she recently got a raise, so I know that it's not because of her performance. I felt like something else is beneath the surface. Y'all, I feel like God put it on my heart to tell the girl that she's about to get fired. So I text the girl and I'm like, hey, meet me upstairs by the elevator. And she's like, okay. So she comes upstairs. I pull her aside, like out of view. So I tell her, you're about to get fired and they're about to do it on Tuesday. This was Thursday last week. And she starts bawling. She's like so taken aback. She's like, what do you mean I'm getting fired? And I was like, I don't know the reason. All I know is that they already have your replacement. They want me to prep your computer for that replacement. And she kept on asking me, like, do you know why they're firing me? Why are they firing me? Why? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't get any of that information. They just tell me what to do with the assets. That's it. So, do you know this girl proceeds to tell me how the HR lady who keeps on telling me confidential offboard, her and the HR girl were actually friends before she started working at the company. Now, they go out to lunch sometimes, they chat, they text, they call, they hang out outside of work. The girl who's about to get fired, she was chatting with her friend that works in HR. And she was telling her that she was so excited, she just got a raise, and they were celebrating, you know, it was like a happy moment. Somehow, some way, the HR girl goes back to my boss and tells my boss about the conversation, that, oh, she was discussing her pay, and one thing led to another, and the boss calls the girl who's about to get fired into her office. So my boss is telling her, why were you discussing that you got a pay raise? You shouldn't be doing that. And she really ripped into her. And the girl was like, oh, I apologize. I didn't realize that I wasn't able to discuss getting a pay raise. As a matter of fact, when the HR girl, my friend, got a raise, we had a very similar conversation where we were both celebrating and I didn't see anything wrong with it. And she says, ever since that conversation, things have been strange. Neither one of them want to talk to her. They both have kind of been avoiding her. They haven't been as friendly. And now she's getting fired. Y'all, corporate America is nothing to play with. I've seen people undercut, backstab. I've seen people do some conniving, evil things, thinking that it's going to benefit their position in the company, or maybe help them with a pay raise, or maybe help them get close to somebody who can better their circumstance. And I have seen some cutthroat, heartless, cold individuals just do some very disgusting things. And this situation is one of them. So my intention here was just to tell the girl ahead of the weekend so that she could prepare herself, so that she could gather any evidence that might work in her favor, because I feel like specifically in this case, they know that they have some damning evidence against them, which is why they kept on telling me it's confidential, it's confidential, it's confidential. The HR girl knows that she said some things that could possibly incriminate her, so she wants to make sure that she catches this girl off guard. It's about to go down. So I text my girl, cause she's my girl now. I texted her this morning. I was like, hey, happy firing day. Like, I hope you're ready. I hope you got all the evidence that you need. Make sure when you walk in there, you hit the record button. Because we're both interested to know what reason they're gonna have to fire her. And my girl, she ready, okay? She said, if they don't come with the severance package, if they're not paying out my benefits through the end of June, I'm not signing anything. If they refuse severance, I'm going to ask HR why they're refusing severance. I'm also going to ask for a written note where they say they're not going to contest my unemployment. I said, yes, girl, you understood the assignment. So here we go. I'm about to go to work. I feel so happy because I gave somebody that empowerment. I remember when I got fired once before, how it felt. I felt so unprepared walking into that conversation, and I really wanted her to just take this opportunity to prepare herself. So, like and follow for part 2.
This episode of why I hate working retail, because y'all are fucking dumb. This is a story time of when I worked at a clothing store. Not gonna name no names, but let's get into the story. So boom, I'm at the register. I'm by myself per usual, and this lady comes in. She comes in, she's cool. I speak, she speak, everything cool. So she goes to the back of the store, and I guess she finds something that she likes in the back of the store, right? I'm still in the front of the store because she's not the only person in the store at that time. So I'm still in the front of the store. So she comes up to me and she's like, hey, I need help finding my size. And I was like, okay, show me the item that you need and I'll help you find your size. So she takes me to the back of the store, and it's these green 2-piece somebody sets. Now, if you know, you know, when Lotto dropped that little collab, everybody and their mama was getting dupes of them little somebody 2-piece sets, Body by Raven or whoever the hell. Everybody was getting the dupes of those. You feel me? Unless it was coming from Body by Raven or Lotto or whoever themselves, more than likely it was a dupe. So when she goes back there and she was like, oh, I can't find my size, I asked her what size she needed. She said she needed a large. This is important to the story. I went inside of the pants of every single set just to make sure that I gave her the correct size. And I looked at the sizing on the tags inside of the pants. I inspected every single last outfit just to make sure that I gave her the correct size. Okay. She asked for a large. I found her large. Everything was cool. The outfit wasn't tried on, nothing. You can tell when that kind of spandex material, that kind of like cheap spandex material, you can tell when that's been tried on because it looks stretched. That outfit was perfectly fine that I handed her. Okay, I looked at every single last one. So boom, she gets her size, she's satisfied, she likes it. So she asks me, she's like, is this the real Body by Raven? And I'm like, no, it's a dupe of the little collab that she had with Lotto when Lotto released her song called Somebody. So she heard me say that, okay? And she decided that she still wanted it anyway. After I told her, no, it's not the real Body by Raven. Why the hell do you think Body by Raven would be in here where I was working? Like, why do you think the real thing would be in here? Be for real. You know, if you're going anywhere other than the website, you're getting a dupe. Don't be dumb. I hate when people try to play dumb to get their money back later. So boom, she's satisfied. She like, okay, no problem. So she goes and she picks out 2 other things and she comes to the register and I check her out. Cool, right? Or so I thought. So I'm on my day off a couple days later and my coworker, she's at work. So I get a call from, no, they're in the group chat, right? My coworker, she go in the group chat and she basically like, oh, the lady came back and she said that whoever was working here that day misled her and sold her a fake set. Okay, so then that's when I get involved because I automatically know who they're talking about because I remember her asking me, was it real, right? So that's when I get involved. So I'm in the group chat like, how is she saying that I misled her and I told her false information when you could literally go back on the cameras and rewind the conversation and hear me tell her it's not Body by Raven. She literally asked me before she got it. And when I told her, she still said she was okay with that. So how is that me misleading you when you literally asked me the question and I told you the answer? So how am I misleading you? So then that's when me, my boss, and my other coworker, we hop on the phone and we trying to talk it out because clearly she's trying to get over. So now all of a sudden, I misled her. I made her to believe that it was the real thing and it's not the real thing. And then she goes to say, and it's glitter on it. Yes, it's glitter on it because you wore it. It's glitter on it because you put it on and you wore it. You put it on and you wore it. And now you're trying to return it saying that I misled you. It wasn't the real thing and it was glitter on it when you bought it. If it was glitter on it when you bought it, you would have noticed that when I handed it to you, correct? When I handed it to you, we checked out, everything was fine. You coming back a couple days later, mind you, a couple days later, you're coming back a couple days later talking about I misled you to believe that it was the real thing and there's glitter on it. Yeah, because you wore it. You knew it wasn't the real thing when you came in here. You knew it wasn't the real thing when you saw it. You knew it wasn't the real thing when you bought it because I told you that it was not. So now, not only are you trying to make me look bad, because you're trying to make it seem like I didn't look at the clothes when I sold it to you, one, and that I purposely told you that it was the real thing to coerce you to buy it. So now you're trying to make me look bad. And that's when you got me fucked up. Because that's why I told my boss, you can go rewind the cameras. Go rewind the cameras and listen to the conversation. Listen to her literally ask me, was it real? And I told her no. And she still went ahead and bought it. And I know there was no glitter in the sets when she bought it because, as I said before, I went through the pants of every single last outfit to find her size. So I know there wasn't no glitter. And how was there glitter if nobody tried it on? Like, I know what's in here. I know what people try on, what they don't try on, because I'm the one who's mainly here. So you are not going to tell me that I purposely misled you to make a sale. I don't get, one, I don't care that much. Two, why would I have to lie to you? I don't know you. It's either you're going to buy it or you're not, and you bought it. So So she's basically arguing my boss up and down. Oh, y'all are unprofessional and you need to hire better employees, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is my fault. Like, I put a glizzy to her head and said, girl, you gonna buy this fake body by Raven. Girl, fuck you. And luckily, I had a boss who knew people be trying to get over. So I didn't get in trouble or anything for that because, like I said, you can go back and rewind the cameras and you can see where I clearly told her, girl, why would this be body by Raven? So, like, hello, like, you're trying to get me in trouble potentially because you're a broke ass bitch and you want to return something that you wore? Like, I hate people who do things like that because you're fucking with people's livelihood at that point and you don't even care. You just trying to get your measly $60 back. Like, girl, go get a fucking job. Maybe try that. Instead of going in people's establishment trying to accuse them of something that they did not do because you're poor and you want your money back. Like, that really pissed me off. That really pissed me off so bad. And it's like, you got me on the phone with my boss and my coworker on my off day. I'm in the car about to go to the bar and turn up, and I'm on this call on my off day because you want to be a broke ass bitch. True. I'm gonna call y'all back. And did she get her money back? No. I'm pretty sure that's set. Oh. And she called herself getting mad, talking about, oh, well, I don't want it. Y'all can keep it. I don't want it. I'm not taking this. When she tried to return it and we told her, no, you cannot get your money back because you are lying. She gonna say, oh, well, I don't want it then. Y'all can keep it. And did she get her money back? No. And that set is probably still sitting in the store to this day. Girl, what you thought? You thought and you had the right one. You had the right business that day. No, you did. And you did all that and you still didn't get what you wanted. And you don't have the set. Boo. But anyway, I'm gonna call y'all back.
I quit my job after 100 different reasons. I made a list and I'm gonna share some of my favorite ones. I was babysitting for a family and I was also babysitting along like 5 other babysitters. They had babysitters there 24/7 overnight. I was there with another babysitter and there was always someone new. I'm gonna start off with, I was starting at 8 and I walked in at 8:01. And as soon as I walked in, the mom was like, was there traffic? My dumbass was like, no, why? She's like, I would give yourself more buffer time next time. Then going along with that one, the one time I got there like 10 minutes early and obviously I wasn't going in early. So I sat in my car for like 5 minutes and then I still came in 5 minutes early. As soon as I walk in, they're like, you know, if you get here early, you can just come in. You don't have to sit in your car. They're like, we were so confused we saw you out there. Then that same day, as soon as I walk in, the mom gives me like 3 things to do as soon as I get there. She's like, if you could do the laundry, the dishes, and something else. So I start off with the laundry. Then she comes over 30 seconds later and she's like, well, see, if I were you, I would have started with the dishes because I just like don't like having dirty dishes in my sink. Along with the dishes, you know, you wash your dishes and then you flip them upside down on the drying rack. Apparently not. Apparently I'm an idiot. Got a whole scientific lesson in a rude way. Being like, well, you know, the air needs to get in, so you have to flip it on its side. I accidentally flipped it all the way up like 2 weeks later and she's like, do you not remember our conversation? Toilet seat lid. I sound like a fucking frat guy. I left the lid up, not the seat, the lid. I didn't shut the bathroom door. I got yelled at for that multiple times. And she even made the little kid come up to me and be like, put the seat down. They had another babysitter there that was like in med school or something. They gave me an option to work overtime and I didn't want to, clearly, for these reasons. So she's talking to the parents, saying like, yeah, I'm working like 6 12-hour shifts or something. I'm in the other room. The dad's like, Kirsten, did you hear that? I literally just pretended I didn't hear it. Then they keep talking, like the conversation passes. He goes, Kirsten, did you hear that? Says it again. I say to the girl, I'm like, congrats, like that's really cool, good for you. He's trying to jab at me for not wanting to work fucking 12 hours. Same night, both the parents were busy, so I started brushing the kids' teeth for him. The dad's like, do you know how to do that? I was like, I don't know, I have my own teeth, so yeah. Here's one of my favorite from the day I quit. I have this nighttime nanny that is there 7 days a week. She's like a sweet old lady, like she's kind of goofy, but like she's sweet. Mom hates her and always talks shit on her, and I just be like, okay. I already know the second I walk out of this room, you're talking shit on me too, so. In the morning, older lady babysitter was holding the one baby and like kissed her cheek. And the mom texted me after and she's like, could you wipe down the baby's face like after she was kissing her? This lady is watching your kid. Why are you like being so disrespectful? That's just my nightmare of a babysitting job. I really wasn't even supposed to babysit for this family. I was supposed to work in the dad's office.
Hi guys, I'm a hostess at Texas Roadhouse, and these are things that I have experienced, or my coworkers have told me that they've experienced while I was working with them. For preface, those of you who don't know, at Roadhouse, we do not seat incomplete parties. It's just a company policy. I don't make the rules. I follow them. Thank you. Anyways, so this woman came in. I do remember her name. I won't say it, but... Anyways, she came in. She was a party of 4. Only 2 of them were there. I asked her, hey, ma'am, like, where's the rest of your party? Like, are they here? And she was like, no, they're down the street. And I was like, okay. Immediately, like, her tone shifted. I was like, great. She's going to be a problem. So I tell her, I was like, okay, no problem. Just hang out in the front room for me. Let me know when everyone's here. It should only be like 5 minutes if they're down the street, right? Wrong. Anyways, she's like, okay, so we can't get a table and enjoy a drink and relax. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, it is against company policy to seat parties incomplete. Mind you, there's a sign behind me that says that. So it's not like I'm just making it up off the dome. Like, no, it's literally a company policy. She rolls her eyes and walks away. 20 minutes later, some other woman for that party, she's like, hi, I'm supposed to let you know that we're all here. And I was like, okay, perfect. I like you. You're nice. I was like, bring everyone up and I'll get you guys sat. 3 people walk up. I was like, hi guys, I'm so sorry. Where's that last person? The lady, whose name is from the song, right? She was like, oh my God, they're in the bathroom. Jeez Louise. Can you seat us? Right away, man. Right away. Sure. I was like, I don't like you. Get the fuck out of my face. I was like, you can follow so-and-so on back. I put her at a table because that's the pettiest I can be. They didn't specifically ask for a booth anyway, so it was like, whatever. I didn't do anything wrong. I just sat her at a table. God. About 20, 30 minutes later, one of my managers comes up to me. She's like, hey, girl. I was like, oh, no. Laid on me. I was like, what is it? And she was like, you got a complaint. And I was like, let me guess. It's from this table. And she was like, yeah. So what happened with them earlier? And I told him, I was like, she just came in incomplete. I told her to hang out in the front room, and she wasn't very happy about it. And then whenever they were all here, I only saw 3 out of the 4, so I asked where that last person was, and she got mad because they were in the bathroom, and I was just supposed to know that. And she was like, okay, yeah, no, the server told me that they wanted to speak to a manager. I went over there and I talked to them, and the older woman basically called you an evil bitch. Cool. Okay, yeah. I was like, cool. What did you say? And she told them, she was like, well, we've never really had a problem with her. She's actually one of our best people to be up at the front because I'm really good with people. I'm very respectful. Yeah. And the older woman was basically just kind of like, well, she's an evil bitch, and I can assure you she's done it before. Cool. Okay. Mind you, this manager in specific is our owner's wife. And the owner was there that day, and he came up and he was like, hey, I heard about the complaint. And I was like, I was just doing my job, I swear. And he was like, oh, no, yeah, no, you're good. Like, if you're an evil bitch, you're the best one we got. I was like, thank you. Anyways, whenever they left, I was just like, have a great day. And the older woman wouldn't even look at me. Weeks later, she came back in, and I was once again at the front, and I immediately recognized her, and I know damn well she recognized me too, because she wouldn't look me in the eyes. She wouldn't do it. And once again, when she left, I was like, have a great day. And once again, she didn't look at me. Didn't say anything, just walked on out. I was like, bye. Bye-bye. Get out. There is this one other couple that has come in a few times, and it's not like I know like them by name or specifically. I just recognize them because of the instance that has happened. Like, I'll seat them, like, they won't ask for anything in specific, so, like, I'll seat them, and then my seater will come back and be like, they want a female server, like, husband and wife, like, the wife requests a female server. The first time this happened, I was like, okay, no problem, like, I totally get it. Some people are just more comfortable with a female server. No problem. I transferred the table, and they got a female server. The second time they came in, that I remember, this was more recently, it was, like, a Friday or Saturday night. So we are busy, right? Right. And so we're very limited on tables and servers at the moment. It's like whatever gets up first is kind of the table you're going at, unless you specifically request a server or a booth or a specific table, like in the bar area, whatever. I print their ticket. I didn't realize that this was them at that point in time. And I'm very stressed right now because everything that could be going wrong on a Friday or Saturday night, large party-wise, table-wise, lots of problems. It's just like that I can't control. So I'm already stressed as it is because I'm just like trying to figure things out and accommodate a bunch of different parties at once. And my seater comes out, I'm like, hey, this party wants a female server. So I look at the ticket, I look at the party, like where their on deck is, and I was like, oh, okay, I recognize them. I look at the floor, and I was like, okay, we don't have any female servers available at the moment. The soonest one getting up is probably going to be another like 15, 20 minutes. So my seater goes back and tells them, like, hey guys, as of right now, we just don't have any female servers open. It's probably going to be about another 15 to 20 minutes. They got mad. They were like, why can't you just accommodate us? Can't you open something up? Mind you, Friday or Saturday night, we have a full floor. There's not an extra table to open up. Otherwise, I'm sure the managers would just be like, do it. But we don't have the floor space for that. So they get really mad, and then they storm out. And I was like, sorry guys, have a great night. Like, I can't control that. If you guys want a female server, request that when you come up to the host stand specifically so we can plan for that. There was this one older dude who came in with his wife. He did ask for a booth, and like 9.9999 times out of 10, like basically every single time that someone asks for a booth, if I ask them if all we have is a half booth, half table, and I ask them like, is a half booth, half table okay? They're like, yes, that's perfect. Thank you so much. Great. So he's like, can we get a booth? I was like, sure, hang out right there. I'll get you sat in just a moment. I get them sat at a half booth, half table. I didn't ask them, which I could have done, but it was like, I wasn't really thinking, and I had other people to help. So I sat them at a half booth, half table. My seater comes back up, and she tells me, she goes, yeah, that dude, he was just so rude. Like, I brought them to the table, and he took one look at it, and he was like, nope, I'm not going to sit there because I have a real paying job. We want a full booth. So, sir, do you think we're just here for fun? Like, okay. At the time, like, we were like busy, but like not super busy. So we had open tables. So my manager was like, I'm not dealing with this. Just open up a table and give it as a pickup. So we just did that. But absolutely not. Like, no. There was this one point in time. So my sister works with me now. And it's like, we're not twins, right? Like, I'm 2 years older than her. We have similar features, but like, she's got dark hair, blue-green eyes, tan skin. Like, I'm white. She's got tan, like, dark-ass skin, right? So it's like, you can clearly, and I have blonde hair, right? So you can clearly tell the difference between the two of us. I step out for like 2 seconds to go do something, and I'm like, hey, Kenzie, my sister, can you cover the front for me for like 2 minutes? She's like, yeah, I got you. So she's just on decking people, and I come back up. She just finished placing this one guy on deck. In the on deck area is like our green sides sign. Sorry. And it's right in front of the host stand. So I was like, okay. I saw him. I was like, it says it's a party of 4, but I only see 2. I was like, hi, sir. Like, I'm just confirming, like, all 4 of you guys are here. And he was like, yeah, they're right there. And I was like, okay, perfect. I'm marking it on my screen, and I'm getting ready to seat them. And he's like, I just told you that. And I was like, no, sir. Like, I just came back up. He's like, no, I told you. I just spoke to you. No, sir, like, I was trying to explain, like, I just came back up to here, and I was gonna say, like, my sister was covering me for a second. It was probably her that you spoke to. I couldn't even say that. He was like, because no, I just spoke to you. And even my sister right next to me, she was like, it was me. And he's like, no, I spoke to you. Whatever you say. So I sat them. And guess what? He was incomplete. Yeah. I mean, like, he was only incomplete for like 2 minutes. Like, I sat him, like 2 minutes later, they came up and sat with him. But I was like, still, all that attitude for what? Okay, I just thought of one more. Basically, I had come in for the night shift on either a Friday or Saturday. It was like, I clock in at 2:15 because we switch over at 2:45. So I come in at 2:15, a walk-up of 8 comes in. And I'm like, okay, they're all in church clothes, or what look like church clothes. I assume to be church clothes. I'm like, okay, are all 8 of you guys here? Like, we have a table. I just need to get it set up, and I just need all 8 of you guys here. And they were like, well, the last couple are coming. And I was like, okay, just hang out. Let me know when they're here. I'll get you guys sat. And they're like, oh, okay. They walk away, and then dad comes back up. He's like, I'm sorry, like, is there, like, what's the problem here? Like, why can't we be sat? And he's not, like, super, like, he's not passive aggressive. Like, he's just, like, wondering. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. So, like, it's just against our company policy to seat incomplete parties. Running out of time. And he was just like, oh, okay, whatever, and walked back. And then one of the other ladies who was standing on deck with him, she was like, well, we're just coming from a funeral. So it's like, well, y'all look pretty happy for just coming from a funeral. Obviously, I didn't say that, but I'm like, I still need all 8 of you here. And then once all 8 of them there, obviously I got them sat. Anyways, that's kind of all I really have time for at the moment. So if y'all want a part 2, let me know.
I accidentally logged into my nurse educator's email at 3 a.m. and I found out exactly what everybody thought of me. I was the nurse leader on my unit. We had just moved units because of construction going on in the hospital. I needed to log into Epic to get a bed for a patient. So I sit down at a random computer. Epic pulls up fine for me. But when I go to open Outlook, my educator's email is still logged in from day shift. And by pure muscle memory, I go to sign her out. My cursor is literally sitting on top of the sign out button. And something just tells me to stop. At the top, there was a pen thread. And I saw my name. I didn't even process it at first. I just remember staring at the screen like, why is my name up there? So I opened it. It was a group email chain. People that I worked with, people that I saw every single shift were talking about me. And not like in a, oh, I'm concerned, professional feedback sort of way. It was mostly commentary, opinions, and side conversations about me like I was not even in the building with them. And then I saw that management was in on it too. They weren't stopping it. They were part of it. I remember sitting there in complete silence. Like I was actually frozen, just staring at the screen. I could only stomach reading one email, so I called my friend over and had her look at it to see how bad the rest were. Now, me and her normally hoot and holler all shift long, so when I saw her face drop while she was reading them, I knew they were bad. I still actually have the pictures of every single one of those emails that she took that I have not opened to this day. But because I'm a real professional, I logged out, closed everything, and I just went back to being the charge nurse for the rest of the shift. No explosion, no confronting anybody. I had been going back and forth for months about whether I wanted to stay at that job. When God gave me a choice to move, I didn't take it. So I really think he took that choice from me. I put in my notice that same week. But here's where it gets good. Before I left, I sent an email to my manager and my director and the educator outlining my entire experience there as the only Black charge nurse in the hospital and exactly how I was treated by their staff members. They never responded. But the next day, I got a call from the director of HR for the hospital telling me I did not have to work my notice and that I was going to be paid for every single shift that I had scheduled for the next 6 weeks. So I guess the joke was kind of on them because I got paid to go to Pilates.
I'm annoyed right now. Let me tell you why. Today's my day off, and I've been deciding like the past week that on my day off, I'm gonna go to this really nice place and I'm going to apply. Not for right now, for future work. But I literally have been so excited. I'm like, I cannot wait to go apply. This place is amazing. I'm so excited. All right, so today I woke up and I got ready like the whole day. Like I was like, obviously I didn't touch my hair, but I got ready and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to this person and see if I can get a job. I drive 35 minutes out of my way, traffic, show up and receive this. Apply online. No, I'm so mad. Yeah, I could have applied online. I could have sat in my lazy bed a couple days ago and applied from bed. But no, I got up and I drove all the way there and I was expecting to talk to someone. But no, they told me to apply online. The person did. The hiring person. And I'm sitting here like, what happened to like our world? Like, what happened? Like, I'm sorry, but people that are hiring now are so unbelievably lazy. It's so hard to get a job. It's so hard to get a job. And like, if we do get a job, we're making like 16 to 18 an hour, which is horrible. Apartments are like $2,000 a month just to live in the dumpiest apartment. It's like, how are we supposed to afford anything? And I was so excited to like talk to someone and possibly get this job for future. And they told me to apply online. I'm not gonna apply online because, first of all, they get 1 million applicants a day. Like, you're not gonna look at just another application. Like, I would think you would want to talk to someone and meet them in person and then decide from there, but no. What do I do with this? Apply online. I will now. Thanks. You know, thanks for telling me, but I would have really appreciated you to take the time and socialize and talk to me, so.
If you come dressed as a girl, we're gonna fire you. I'm pretty sure that's illegal to say. Like, you cannot say that. Let's do my makeup while I tell you about the time that I got fired from my job when I started transitioning. This was probably, I want to say, like almost 3 years ago. This was like in 2023, I want to say. At this time, I was already kind of doing my makeup. I was kind of doing like a little boy glam. I used to have my nails done. I used to wear crop tops and stuff. Also around the time where I wanted to start doing drag, I didn't know that I was going to become a doll. But yeah, I wanted to do drag, so I started, you know, doing more full glam makeup, started wearing wigs, started going by my alter ego named Stormy, which is my name now. But it was just kind of like a fun little thing that I would do on the weekend sometimes, take off my wig and makeup, live my life as a boy, you know, every day. Around this time where I was considering a drag, now I look back, I'm like, girl, that was not drag. All of my friends and everyone around me knew that this was kind of like a regular thing for me. I started, you know, doing my makeup fully a lot more. I started wearing my wig a lot more, literally everywhere I would go. One place I wouldn't get all dolled up to and wear a wig was to work. It's because the managers that I worked with, they're kind of very just homophobic, go America, yay Trump. Mind you, I worked at a Mexican restaurant, so yeah. Whenever I'd go at work, they would always kind of like not make fun of it. They would always kind of, you know, make jokes and like little side comments. One of the main jokes that would always be said was like, oh, you should come here to work as Stormy and see what, you know, what people say, like what the cooks would say, what the owners would say. And they would always say that like, oh my god, that would be so funny, like that'd be so funny to do for a shift, whatever. So that's exactly what I did. It was Halloween around this time and I was scheduled on Halloween. So what better excuse to show up to work in full glam and like drag and say like it's a costume, you know, to like, you know, slowly put the idea in their heads and see if I could actually go to work in drag or in full geesh, if you know. So I'm gonna try to find a picture, but I dressed up as a lifeguard and I did my full glam makeup and I wore a fake ponytail. You know, I feel like that's every trans girl's like first experience or whatever, is wearing a fake ponytail from Amazon. The one thing I do remember from this shift is a table was like, oh, like, by the way, like, what are your pronouns? And that was the very first time I was like, any pronouns, like, I don't care. You can call me she or he. And in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, I was feeling puss. After that shift ended, I was like, okay, coast is clear, you know. Didn't go back to work like that, dressed up with a wig and everything. I gave it like a few weeks because I was like, you know, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to do too much. Let me just do it slowly. Let's have them adjust to this new me, this new lifestyle. This is when I started to get kind of a little bit of backlash through the owners, not through the management or anything, but the owners are kind of just like, okay, it was cute for a second, but we're kind of over it now. Like, you know, like, she was cute, but go back to being a boy now. And that is when I was like, he's gone. Like, there is no boy left in me. Like, I'm not a boy. So I started noticing that I was getting less shifts, which was crazy because anyone knew me, they knew I was in that job like day and night. I would close and then open the next day. I would work 6 days a week, pick up people's shifts. Like, I was one of their best bartenders. Like, I was always in there when I was making so much money. Mind you, at this point, I had only gone to work dressed as a girl about like 2 times. Honestly, I don't even know where I'm going with this story. Like, I feel like my brain is all confused right now. They were not scheduling me my regular shifts and they were hiring new bartenders, basically trying to replace me. Anytime I would bring it up, they were just like, oh, you know, you're just working too much, I guess, whatever. They didn't really give me an answer for it. They really just didn't tell me what was going on. In hindsight, obviously now I know why. But in the moment, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? At this point of my life, I was, tired and fed up and not being able kind of to like accept myself and just live comfortably as the trans woman that I was, and I didn't realize at the time. Feeling super frustrated, so I decided I have to start living my life and going to work, looking how I want. Obviously still in dress code, mind you. We'll get to that later, but so that's exactly what I did. My next shift, I put on my full makeup. At this point, I already knew how to install wigs, so I was wearing wigs. And I went to work, and I remember that day I looked so cute, I felt so cute. I remember I was like, oh my god, like, I feel like me. Like, I just feel so cute today. It's finally the end of that shift, and pull me to the side and say like, hey, we've got a few complaints from the customers. This is a family-friendly restaurant, so you can't come dressed like that. Mind you, I was fully in dress code. So of course, me being me, what did I do? I went to work again, dressed as a girl, dressed how I wanted to feel comfortable and happy with. And I was happy, but they were not happy. I remember walking into my next shift, and I could just feel the energy in the air. The energy was just a nasty energy. Like, I could just feel it. I could sense that something wasn't right. It was a horrible shift, honestly. It was probably the worst shift of my life. So the end of the shift comes, and the manager pulls me into the office at the very end of the day, and he tells me, listen, you cannot come to work like this again. And I was like, why? Like, what's the issue? Please tell me what's the problem. I'm in dress code. I came on time. Like, my hair's up, like you said. Like, can you please tell me why I can't come to work like this? Like, what's the problem? He could not give me an explanation. And he said if I came back to work on Monday dressed as a girl, that I would be fired. Those words coming out of his mouth, if you come dressed as a girl, we're gonna fire you. I'm pretty sure that's illegal to say. Like, you cannot say that. When I got home, I did think about it for a while, and I was like, well, I need a job. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't not live my life as a boy anymore. Like, like that person's gone. I didn't feel comfortable, without my wig and without my makeup. When I got home from my shift, that was when I realized that I was taken off the schedule. All my shifts completely off the schedule. Every time that they would send all the updates and schedules on, I was kicked out of it. They never gave me a call, never texted me, never told me anything. I did send them a bunch of texts after that. They never answered me. But yeah, that is the end of my story. And if you are going through something similar to this, or if you know someone going through something like this, please don't be afraid to speak up. Reach out. You can comment down below. I would love to hear your own stories. You are not alone. Together we are powerful. We are stronger. Yeah. Love you guys.
My old boss won't stop blowing up my phone today because as my final act as manager before I quit, because it was a toxic workplace and they treated their employees like shit, I approved every single overlapping time off request over the holiday weekend. Cheers, Janet.
I truly think that one of my favorite forms of undermined compliments working in restaurants is when people think that that little old me, is so important that I can change the environment. Hi divas, my name's Kelly. I'm a server in a restaurant. I've been bartending and serving in restaurants for years. And let's talk about the time a woman got mad at me that she couldn't sit outside in the middle of the Oregon wildfire season when the AQI was 500. So my start in the restaurant industry was working at this little wine lounge / restaurant. And now it's important to note that this wine lounge / restaurant did have a garage door. It made it very appealing, especially in the summer and spring months. People love eating out when it's nice in Oregon. Fun fact about Oregon, it gets a pretty nasty wildfire season every summer. A lot of foliage, there's a lot of greenery, and contrary to popular belief, there is a lot of dry space in Oregon. There are also a lot of valleys. So what happens is all that smoke from all those fires just settles into the valleys. And I was in one of those valleys. If you've lived in Oregon or been in Oregon during wildfire season, you know what I'm talking about when I say it feels apocalyptic. Sky is gray, the sun is bright red at the end of the night because there's so much ash in the air. It was also around the time of COVID too, so once the smoke would settle, everyone would start coughing and everything's still shut down and everyone's still nervous of everyone that's coughing. You know, you would think businesses would shut down, but no, alas, I, as an essential employee, as a server at a restaurant, got my way to work, even though there was literally no one on the road. It was already predetermined. We weren't going to be opening the garage door. We weren't going to be keeping the doors propped open. Because again, the AQI was 500. Unless I show up to work, and guess what? It's dead all day. Could we have closed early? Probably. Did I make any money? No. You work in restaurants, you know that the restaurant will not close unless the building is actively burning down. They gotta make their money somehow. I'm twiddling my thumbs all day, I'm watering the plants, I'm kind of frolicking about the restaurant until I hear the door open. I'm thinking, that's strange, I haven't seen a soul in sight this entire day. It was around 6 p.m., so the day was starting to cool off a bit, but it still looked like Armageddon outside. And I mean, there was quite literally ash falling onto our umbrellas outside. It looked like it was snowing. This lady walks in, she has a big smile on her face, and she says, hey, just for one, no problem, Diva. You pick any spot in the restaurant, I will follow you with menus. And she goes, actually, can I sit outside? Are your lungs okay? I respond and I say, unfortunately, our patio is closed today due to the weather, but I can happily seat you inside. And she was like, well, it's so nice out. Why can't I just sit outside? I don't know if you've gotten the memo from like the burning sun or the ash falling out of the sky, but the state's on fire. Say as nicely as possible, I understand that you want to sit outside. However, due to health concerns for our staff, not necessarily for you, you can risk your health. For our staff, we cannot serve you outside today. Staff, I mean me, because I had already been perpetually sick because of the smoke for the past week, even though I was staying inside nonstop. So there was no shot I was going outside to serve someone consistently. Her and I are going back and forth, and I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, about 4 times. And then I finally say, ma'am, if you want to eat and have some wine here, that's more than okay, but I can only take care of you while you're inside. And she goes, fine. Picks the table closest to the garage door, and I shit you not when I say she was looking out the window as if she was in like a 2010 sad music video. You know, like when you just get scolded by your parents, but then you have a long drive home and it happens to be raining, and so you just look out the window as if you're the main character. I give her the menus, I say, I'll give you a few moments to look everything over, and then I leave her be for about like 3 minutes. And when I go back over to her, she says, can I just order my food to go? And I'm like, sure. Orders a flatbread, and then she says, oh, and can I just buy a bottle of wine and they'll just have a glass while I'm waiting for it? Might as well have a glass while I'm here, right? No problem. There was a problem. Put in her to-go food, I pour her a glass of wine out of the bottle that she purchased, and she closed out immediately. Her be as I'm waiting for the food to cook up, and then all of a sudden I see her packing her things up. She's putting her glasses in her bag, she's putting a cork in her bottle, and so I walk over and I say, can I help you with anything? And she says, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and take one of those outside tables and I'll just have my glass of wine there and I'll wait for my food there. Could you bring me out some utensils too? First of all, if you are this type of person, just order takeout. Don't care if you're like, oh, well, they're not providing me service, so I still don't have to tip. I still have to clean up after you. Still have to put up with infuriating conversation with you. I look at her and I say, you're more than welcome to sit outside with your bottle of wine, but just so you know, when your food is ready, it will be in here. Like I said, none of our staff can go outside while they're on the clock today. She seems happy with this. She marches out the door and she marches into the ash snow outside. Her and her bottle of Malbec against the world. Honestly, I'm kind of jealous of how unbothered she was. So about 8 minutes passes, which is about the standard amount of time for a flatbread to cook, and then it just sits on the expo line for 5 minutes. Then for 10, then for 15. Do you know what happens to flatbread after it sits for a while? It gets soggy. I told her that I would not be bringing her food to her, and I also said it should be ready in about 5 to 10 minutes. I also told her I wasn't bringing her utensils. 20 minutes later, I see a woman storming in with a wine glass, looking at it angrily, and I'm thinking, oh great. What was she so angry about with her glass of wine? Well, you see, the ash that was raining from the sky because the state was on fire, remember that? It had fallen in her wine glass. She wasn't even worried about the flatbread yet. She was more concerned with her glass of wine. She says, I don't know what you're gonna do about this, but I think some of it got in my bottle too. And I look at her and I say, unfortunately, I can't do anything. You paid for your bottle and I told you you would not be receiving service outside. that point, she's trying to bargain with me. She's like, well, can you at least, like, refund me 50% of the bottle? Like, you shouldn't have let me go outside. And I say, no. You want to know what she does? She turns away from me, looking stone cold serious, walks out the front door and dumps out her glass of wine and comes back inside. Red all over the sidewalk. Comes back inside, and what does she say? She says, I accidentally spilled my glass of wine. Would you mind just giving me another glass on the house? Every day working in restaurants, you just get to experience someone's first day on earth. It's so cool. I look at her and I say, no, I can't do that, but your food is ready and has been ready. Throwing a temper tantrum because I'm not going to give her another glass of wine. So I just go to get the food. I grab the box of food, I give it to her, and I say, just so you know, it has been sitting in here for a while. If you take it home and throw it in the air fryer, it should be perfect. She opens the box while at the host stand, pulls out a piece of pizza, and the grease is just dripping everywhere. It wasn't that greasy, but the grease had all just settled at the top because it had been sitting for so long. She looks at me and she goes, are you really going to serve your customers this? Yeah, you know what, I am, because this is the exact food you ordered, how you ordered it, and it came out at the correct time, and I told you what time it would be ready, and yet you failed to come inside. She looks at me and she says, well, aren't you going to remake it? And I say, I can remake it, however, I am going to have to charge you for the second one, considering there is absolutely nothing wrong with this one, other than you did not come pick it up at the time I told you to pick it up for your to-go order. Because remember, we switched from dine-in to to-go. She's huffing, she's puffing, probably because of the smoke. Woman is trying to reason with me, trying to get as many free things as possible, and I am just not having it. And you want to know what she ends with? She decides to take the flatbread home and take my advice, pop it in the air fryer. She says, well, could I get a complimentary glass of wine for the inconvenience? Look batshit crazy in this parking lot right now. Look at her and I say, no, ma'am, I can't. Here's your flatbread, here's a bag for your wine, I'll cork it properly for you, but is there anything else I can do for you? And she doesn't even say anything to me, just turns her back to me and goes on her phone as I go bag up her wine, which is fine. I hand her wine and then I watch her walk away into the apocalyptic world outside. You know, as many brain cells as I lost in that interaction, I really hope her lungs are okay. That's just not healthy, consistent behavior.
So I usually don't have beef with people. I don't have enemies, I don't have ops. And I'd like to think that that's because I'm generally nice to most people that I meet. I'm nice and respectful to most people that I meet, so most people end up liking me, and if they don't, it's one-sided. However, there was one person that scorned me so badly that I was motivated to get back at them, and I played the long game, and I'd like to think that I did get back at them. So this story takes place in, like, October 2024. So I used to work for a catering company, and it was like a student job at my university. And the person we're going to be talking about, his name, we're just going to call him John. We're not going to give him a fun name. His name is John. The thing about John is that unfortunately he was very unlikable. Most people at my job did not fuck with him because he was just overly political, or he was like racist, sexist, misogynistic. Like he was just everything. Like if you were not a white man, you were seen as like beneath him, which is crazy because he's not even white. Anyways, so this guy is literally like insufferable to be around, right? Like people are constantly reporting him because he's just that guy, right? But for some reason he like generally tolerated me, okay? Like I don't know what it was, but like he was just his like regular level of insufferable around me, and then he would be like a menace to like other people. And that made my life easier because at the time like I was like a lead at my job, so and the catering thing, it's like a teamwork, team building thing, so it's very frustrating if someone's not being cooperative. So at the time I appreciated it because I was like, okay, like I don't like being around him, but at least he's not making it like super difficult. One day we're just chatting because we are like assigned on the team alone together, and we're just driving to an event to like drop off some food, right? And so for some reason we were talking about weight gain, and then that's when I was like, oh, I was on this one medication, it made me gain like 20 pounds in 1 month. And he was like, oh, that's really crazy, that's interesting. And like he just starts pressing me more about it. And the reason why I had to take this medication, it was like years prior, right? It had to do with this like really traumatic health thing that I like went through, and I had to take a year off school. And yeah, I had to be on meds for that for a little bit too. So I maybe I'll go into that story like later, like at a different time. But yeah, this very traumatic event for me. And yeah, I'm just telling him about it. And he is acting so sympathetic towards me. He is like, wow, like you really went through hell. Like I have more respect for you now, and like I can't believe you went through that. Again, acting like he cared. And so yeah, I'm like, whatever. After that day, for whatever reason I didn't know at the time, he became like very difficult to work with. Like usually how it worked is that there was one person in charge per team, and it was very important that that person just you listen to that person so that we can get shit done. And that was usually me because I was the lead. So he just like wasn't listening. I don't know how to explain it, because before he used to listen, like he was an asshole, right? But like he would at least do his job. He was just being very difficult to work with, and it was very frustrating. So let's flash forward a few months, and just for context, there's another person that I used to work with. Let's just call him Jimmy. Kind of the same thing with John. Nobody likes Jimmy because he's overly political. But the thing is, Jimmy was actually nice. He just was annoying. And he was like almost worse with like the political stuff, because he was just inappropriate about it. People would try to change the topic and he would just keep coming back to it. Like he was just being weird about it. One day, all of us, like the entire workforce, we got an email from our bosses, and it was also posted in the group chat for our workplace. And basically it was like a warning statement saying that people need to start being more appropriate about like what they talk about. Like they basically said we're not allowed to talk about politics, mental health, religion, like anything like that. And so me and a lot of other people are thinking that this is about Jimmy, because that's just how Jimmy was. It was a very Jimmy coded statement. But they didn't like say any names, okay? One day I'm at my job again, and I'm like a different shift with a different coworker, and let's call her Bella. So I'm driving with Bella, and we start talking about the group chat thing, and I'm like, oh, like, did you see the message that we got from our bosses? Like, I think that's about Jimmy. And she kind of has this like weird hesitant look, okay? And she looks at me and she's like, oh, it's actually not about Jimmy, it was about John. And I was surprised for a little bit, like a half second, but I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? So I like pressed her, I'm like, oh, like, what's the tea? Like, what do you do? And she says to me that she had a shift with him one day, and that while they were together, John starts talking shit about me. Apparently, he just started airing out my trauma that I had told him, which, side note, like, it's not something that I was, like, ashamed of or a secret before. Like, I was more open about it back then, so I wasn't, like, scared for people to know. But yeah, he's basically just like, yeah, did you hear? Like, she had to take a year off school, she's crazy, like, just to be on meds. And, like, he just keeps calling me, like, a crazy bitch, okay? Which, more context, the thing that I went through was, like, mental health related. And I don't know why he trusted Bella with this information, because, like, Bella does not fuck with him like that. Like, she doesn't like him, and they're not friends. But yeah, he trusted her. And so she's, like, telling him, like, hey, I don't think you should be, like, airing out things like that, like, especially about, like, someone's, like, mental health. Like, it's kind of messed up. But he just keeps going, and he's just calling me, like, a crazy bitch, okay? Which is also crazy, because, like, this is, like, 4 months after I had told him everything. Like, it's, like, super weird that he, like, is, like, my name is, like, in his mouth. But whatever, okay? And so when I find out, like, I am so pissed off, because after that, Bella reports it to someone else, and then they reported it to management, and then they, like, he, like, got, like, half in trouble, like, he had a warning. And I'm so mad, because he's also, like, we're driving back to, like, the main location where everyone is, so he's there. And so when I get there, I'm actually so mad, because, like, it genuinely takes a lot for me to, like, lose my shit, like, and, like, act reckless, okay? And so I'm so mad. Like, I almost confronted him on the spot, but then I was getting vengeful, okay? And, like, this guy says, like, fireable shit, like, all the time. So, like, at first, like, to be honest, like, I was like, you know what, like, I'm just gonna bait him into saying something fireable, and then, like, we'll just get him fired, okay? But then I realized that that's actually illegal, and I was talked out of it, so I didn't do that. And everyone is telling me, like, oh, like, report him, because I guess whoever reported, like, the original thing, like, they, like, didn't go into detail about what he was saying. It was, so, like, management didn't know, like, the gravity of, like, what he did. But to be honest, management never really, like, enforced consequences for anyone. So I was like, no, like, he's just gonna get slapped on the wrist, and then it's gonna make my life harder. And so I started thinking, I'm like, no, I'm gonna play the long game. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'm gonna wait. Which, side note, here's the thing, like, nobody likes this guy, but everyone at my job liked me, so people started reporting him, like, on my behalf when they found out, because, like, they were like, that's really fucked up, but whatever. I just decided to start acting as if nothing happened around him. I don't want to let him think that he got under my skin. I don't start being disrespectful or anything like that to him. I just treat him like I normally did, and I just went on with my life, okay? And so during this time, just for context, there is this thing called weekly wins at my old job. And basically how it works is that there's, like, a little box with, like notepads or paper. And how it's supposed to work is that you're supposed to just take, like, a note, and you write an anonymous compliment for your coworker. And then every week, like, on a Monday, they will, like, announce all of, like, the compliments. For some reason, this guy, John, was getting a weekly win every single week, like, someone was complimenting him. And I'm just thinking, like, that's really weird, because, like, nobody likes John. Like, who the fuck is writing these compliments? So they actually post all of, like, the notes on, like, the door or, like, the wall. So it's, like, a big wall of, like, compliments, okay? And so I start looking for John's weekly win suggestion notes, because I'm in disbelief, and I'm like, I have to see this for myself, because I cannot believe that there's, like, people here that work here that, like him enough to, like, write a compliment. Because, again, these, like, compliment box things, like, it's not like there's, like, a lot of compliments every week. It's like maybe there's, like, 2 or 3 notes total every week, and he was getting one, like, every week. So I find his notes, and I notice that they all have, like, the same handwriting. And so I'm thinking, I wonder if he's writing these notes himself. And yeah, that's generally what I started believing. I was like, no, like he's probably writing these notes himself. I don't believe that people like him enough to be writing this shit. There's actually these like 2 girls that he like had a crush on, right? Because like they're really pretty girls. And so he was like really comfortable saying like sexist and racist shit to them because like he thought that like they were a safe space, but like secretly they didn't fuck with him. So I'm like talking shit about him with like one of these girls, right? And I go, oh, like, you know the weekly win things? Like I think that he writes them himself. And I'm like explaining it. And she looks at me, she's like, oh, he does. And I was like, what? Because like low-key I was kind of joking. But then she tells me, oh yeah, John was telling me that like he writes them himself. I don't know why he told them that. Like why would you admit that? But yeah, she was saying that like he writes them himself. And so when I find that out, like I just start dying. Like I thought that was so funny. When I got back to the main room, not everyone was in there because like how this works is like it's like a team thing. So like everyone's assigned a different event. So not everyone's like in the room at the same time, right? I see another coworker walk in. Let's just call him Tom. So Tom walks in, my coworker, and me and him are like buddy, right? And I'm like, Tom, guess what? I just found out. And so I tell him about John, right? And he's like, oh yeah, he told me that too. And so like I lost it because I thought that was so funny. Because now that it was like confirmed to me, I was like, the world needs to know. I went to our group chat that did not have our bosses, but it had all of our coworkers, okay? It was like our fun group chat. And I said, I just found out that John writes his own weekly wins. Imagine being so unlikable that you have to write your own compliments because you can't find one person to write any nice things about you. Send. And after that happened, there was like a few people who like liked and laughed at the message. And then there was another person who responded saying like, that's hilarious. Because they were already like publicly beefing with him, but everyone else, they just like read it, right? But then, as I'm like walking through the workplace, people start pulling me aside because this guy's like such a menace, right? And they just start giving me a high five and laughing. But yeah, it's actually hilarious because I like got pulled into the storage room like in the back like a few times that day, specifically because people wanted to pull me aside and say, hey, I saw your message, and I just wanted to say I didn't want to ignore it just because of how he is, but good job. Yeah, pretty good feeling. And yeah, it was really funny because after that happened, like when he would be in the room, people would see him and then they would like try not to laugh, like, you know, they're like covering their mouth. And I thought that was so funny because I was like, yeah, fuck you. It takes a lot for me to retaliate like that, but I don't even think that it was like that extreme. But I'm like, that's what you get, bitch.